Welcome, everybody. Welcome. All right.
This is the Merrill and Jennifer show, and we are really live. I actually am on the mall here in Washington, D.C. As you can see behind me, we have, just regular people walking around, but that is the Lincoln Memorial.
Hi, regular people.
That is real. And then I'm actually going to show you, we're right here at the World War II Memorial, and we have, all sorts of people walking around. And I wanted to do this live here. I'm sure our sound, I can hear an ambulance in the background, of course, because this is it's like live television. This is it live.
Yeah, these are not paid actors walking in the background.
This is the real deal. And so what today's topic is to talk about how do we help our active duty military as they're transitioning to veterans? How do we help them protect their credit?
Brilliant. So great. That is an amazing question to ask. And since we have so many people that have done so much for our country, the men and women who have chosen to spend their lives, dedicate their lives, or big portions of their lives to protect our rights, and yet sometimes they're not even aware of some of the rights that they're protecting that would protect them in the details of their financial lives. And so that's what I want to address, right? That's what I want to speak to is how can you and I, Jennifer, how can we show up and serve the people who are serving us? So let's do let's do a quick run through some of the main points. First of all, there are a couple of laws that allow you to be in the service. And if you are deployed, especially deployed internationally, and the credit bureaus cannot report negative items against you. Now, this only came in the last decade or so for years. Remember, I've been doing this for 30 years. And for years and years, people, men and women in the military would be deployed. They'd go somewhere. Their bills wouldn't keep up with them. And all of a sudden they get a 30-day late on their whatever card. I don't want to out any particular lenders, all of them. And they'd give them a 30-day late. And the rule was, I'm sorry, you were 30 days late. It doesn't matter what the reason was or what the problem was, or that you're in freaking Afghanistan or Iraq serving our country, right? So the Congress amended the appropriate laws to basically give a grace period so that veterans have an opportunity to have negative items removed from their profile if it was a function of moving. Now, if they don't pay their bills, that they have to prove up that they weren't paying their bills, right? Or that it was a function of moving or being redeployed, reassigned, and transferred somewhere else. Another big thing is similar to what we talked about last week, is that every one of us there are certain steps we want to go through to make sure that our personal information gets transferred correctly, right? So we have what's called a PBID. We call it a PBID. It's a personal borrower identity. Now, this borrower identity is what you're known by your financial institutions. This borrower identity is critical to, first of all, make it so that it's only one version of your name. Like I'm Merrill Chandler, Merrill R. Chandler, Merrill Ray Chandler. Before I knew what I was doing, lenders, they knew me by a whole bunch of different versions, right, of my name. But when we learned how important it was to keep your name straight, one address, et cetera. Now, the problem is that the military, our families in the military, they're transferred every 6 months, sometimes a year. Sometimes they have longer deployments, but man, every 6 months you're changing your address. So one of the things that we like to recommend for military or other persons who are in another group are healthcare. There's this whole band of traveling healthcare professionals now, right? They literally travel. They're on call to go to various hospitals and help out. One of my friends is one of these persons. It is hilarious to hear her stories about being deployed across the country. So the case is still the same. what I recommend is that you create a permanent address. Since most opportunities allow you to pay all of your bills online, manage them online, do all those things online, one of the big things we want to be able to do is create a permanent address. It could be a parent's address, as long as you don't share a name like Merrill Chandler Jr. and Merrill Chandler Sr. We don't want to share the same name, but that's just going to confuse our files. But I'm telling you, if you were to create a permanent address, that permanent address, and then have all of your lenders use one version of your name, one address, and make that your permanent address, then it doesn't matter where you're deployed, and you can forward your mail to, or have somebody forward your mail. There are even mailboxes that will allow, you can forward your mail to wherever you are in the world. But that is really one of the biggest things that we've learned in creating consistency. You want one identity. That changes everything.
Merrill, talk a little bit about this, because I know a lot of people, they pay their bills online. So they feel like everything's virtual, but even with every credit card, every bill, they still want an address, right? This address is still important regardless if they pay everything online, right?
Correct. Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
So that permanent address, we want it to be a physical location, right? They need to know where you are in the world, because the big three things about building a relationship with a lender is, do they know who exactly they've lent money to? That's your name identity. Where exactly can I find them? Well, I can find them by having this permanent address. And how am I going to get my money back? So if you're in the military, you have a constant source of income. That's a dependable income. We got to make sure that your location is just as dependable in their search algorithms for the type of borrower you want to be, right? So it's really important to have that one version of your identity. So important. So the other thing that we want to address when it comes to veterans is that, or the transition, right? We want current deployment. And then if you're transitioning to become a veteran, or you're leaving the service, right? Then preferably we'd like to keep that identity the same, whatever you were using a mailbox, you were using parents, siblings, or whatever. But once you make the transition and you establish a household, et cetera, make sure then you're with us, common folk, instead of the warrior class of our society. And we want you guys to make sure that every time you make a financial move, you need to prepare make sure you are getting the right intel before you leave the service. I mean, while you're in the service, but it's more critical when you leave the service. Get your myficocreditreport.com. Find out what's being reported about you. myfico.com credit report, because you've got to know the truth of what lenders are seeing. And then only then can we improve it, optimize it, fix it, or otherwise.
That is perfect. As you can tell, it's very loud out here between planes and
actually, I can't.
Stuff.
Yeah, I can't hear a thing.
Oh, that's good. I'm so glad you can't hear all.
But I want to be out in DC right now. It's gorgeous out there.
It's gorgeous, isn't it? It's just beautiful. And I mean, the World War II Memorial is so beautiful. I just wanted to make sure I could get everybody out here to just enjoy a little bit of Washington, D.C. while we're here.
Yes.
And celebrate veterans while we're out here. So thank you again, Merrill. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
For being here.
I'm so happy to it. There's the Washington Monument. It's always a pleasure. Love that you're back in your home state, or your original state, and I love that you're moving back and forth between DC and Florida. It's always fun to see your travels.
I'm doing the wonderful thing to help people wherever I am. And so right now I'm in Washington, D.C., and I love helping people here. So again, thank you.